Hi guys, it's RidinwithJ, back with another video. And in today's video, I'm going to be replacing the brake fluid on my 2018 Kawasaki Z900. This will be the same from 2017 till 2020, the process in replacing the fluid. So a couple tools that you're going to need is a 10 millimeter wrench, or you can use a socket, and this is to access the bleeder on the brake caliper, as well as a Phillips screwdriver, which will allow you to remove the two screws on top of the master cylinder in your choice of brake fluid. I'm going to be using a relatively inexpensive way of replacing fluid. There is other ways of doing it by using a vacuum bleeder or pumping and holding, but I'm going to be using a bottle which I have filled with brake fluid, and there's a hole cut in the top in a tube running into the bottle, which is submerged inside the brake fluid. And what this will allow is when I am removing the brake fluid from the system, it will prevent air from going back into it. Okay, so starting from the top, you're going to have your brake master cylinder, which is up here, and there's going to be two screws on the top that you're going to take off and loosen. Once it's off, there's this cover that you're going to remove, and beneath that there's going to be a gasket which you're also going to remove. That will allow you to access the fluid. And coming across to the front here, you can see where it says lower. So once you've completed replacing your brake fluid, you're going to want to make sure that the level is above that line that you see right there. Okay, so coming across to the top here, there's going to be two Phillips number 2 screws that you're going to remove. They're not too tight, but once you have those two screws out, you'll be able to access the lower portion of the master cylinder, where you'll be able to add the fluid. And also underneath here, there is a gasket that you're going to remove, and this just helps prevent any debris from getting inside. So once you've removed the top cover and the two screws, as well as the rubber gasket, you'll be able to access the top of the master cylinder, where you'll be able to add the brake fluid. What you also want to do is to add a layer of protection around the master cylinder, just in case there's excess fluid that leaks out. You don't want that to get onto your paint. So I just used a plastic bag as well as a cloth wrapped around the cylinder, so that if any fluid leaks, it will be absorbed by that. And you're also going to want some extra rags handy just to wipe it up, if in case that does happen where it spills over. Okay, so starting this off, you're going to loosen this 10 millimeter brake nipple on the caliper. This is the right side of the bike. Now this process will be the same for the left side of the bike, but for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to be doing it on the right side. So making sure that you have your hose attached and brake fluid inside your bottle with your hose submerged. You're going to be coming to the top of the bike where the master cylinder is. And this is very important. You're going to want to make sure that you always maintain fluid in your master cylinder. So as you're pumping the brake lever, brake fluid will be exiting the brake nipple and going through the hose and into the bottle. You're going to see bubbles until this whole hose is full of fluid. Once it's full of fluid, you won't see any bubbles. But what you'll notice, it's tough to see on video, but you'll see the old fluid exiting, and it's going to actually be slightly darker than the new fluid that I had inside the bottle. So always making sure that there is fluid remaining in the reservoir is very, very important. You don't want to introduce any air into the system. And it's slow, even pulls on the brake lever. You're not going to be doing it quickly. And once you're done, you're going to want to make sure through the sight glass here, like I showed you in the beginning, that your fluid level is above the lower limits. So you're going to want to make sure it's near the top. Okay? Okay, now that we've gone through pretty much one full bottle, you're gonna make sure that your brake nipple is tight, and then you're gonna come up to the top and making sure that your brake lever now has brake pressure. So a couple pumps on it and you can feel it getting hard again. Once it's hard, then you know that your job's complete. I flushed a complete 350 milliliter bottle through the caliper, and I'm going to be doing the same to the other side. So once you have all that completed, just make sure and double check that you have a hard brake lever and it doesn't go all the way in with no resistance. Okay, so now that we've replaced the brake fluid on both left and right calipers, you're gonna go ahead and reinstall the rubber gasket that you removed. So making sure that the sealing surface here is clean, as well as the surface on the rubber gasket is clean. You're gonna be putting that back on, pushing it down, and then reinstalling the top cover and tightening that down as well. Now once you have that out of the way, I'm just going to remove the plastic I have here. You're able to see the brake fluid level. So once you've completed replacing the fluid, you want to make sure that within the reservoir, the brake master cylinder, the level isn't lower than that line right there. You want to make sure that it's above and essentially filling up this sight glass. These screws, they don't have to be too tight. So once that's over, you're going to want to remove any protective cloths that you have, and you're going to want to clean up any residual brake fluid that is maybe leaked onto anything, because that will damage any painted surface. Thanks again for watching, and I hope that this is helpful to anybody. Please like, comment, and subscribe.